Today on Locked On Canadiens, the Habs are back in the win column, but it's how they got there that's most important to talk about because that's what's going to set the tone for the rest of their season.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canadiens. We want to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. As you know, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com and get $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name is Laura Saab, also known as The Active Stick, and I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Ian Boisvert, also known as Maybe It's Ian, and we've got a lot of good stuff to dive into in this episode. Ian, how are we feeling on this Sunday?
Great. The Canadiens played Utah. Nobody got hit by a car. Things have to be going pretty well. You know, that's what we've come to expect with playing this team. Half of the times coming into this, Montreal played Utah, somebody was hit by a car. So it's good to know that we can break those patterns, as well as others, like holding leads in the third period.
That too. But here's my question. Do the Islanders now have to worry about getting hit by a car?
Oh, man. I mean, if you've seen people on Long Island Drive, yeah, they should worry generally, just as a franchise. I believe, was it Doug Waite? Doug Waite got hit by a car when he was with the Islanders? Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. Yeah.
All right. So we do want to get into the meat of what made that win great and the positive signs we've seen in the last couple of games from the Montreal Canadiens. We want to give some guys some flowers. And later on, we're going to do our full weekly recap, as we do every Monday episode, to talk about how the week went and who the stars were, who was in charge. But first, let's get into that game against Utah. Let's just go ahead and admit that was not an auspicious beginning to a hockey game.
Sam Montembeault, man. That was tough. What I didn't really love was the fact that they kept saying, oh, Montreal got scored on their first shot. They very much didn't. They didn't record the first Yamamoto shot that very much hit Sam Montembeault in the pads before the rebound bounced right back out and was put in. So I was kind of annoyed by that. But still, you would expect that your starting... I know people were blaming Joe Veleno for not back-checking. You should expect that your starting goaltender is not going to burp a rebound up on a puck that was moving 4 miles an hour, never left the ice, burp it right back into the middle for the same guy to shoot it. Like, I understand everyone's got some real hater energy for Joe Veleno right now, which I'm just like, you guys have to relax. He's a fourth-line winger. Everybody chill out.
Also, the end of the game,
Yeah, he was fine.
You got to give him credit.
He's a fourth-line winger. Like, what do you guys expect? Anyway, it's fine.
Again, Yoel Armia. People want Yoel Armia from Joe Veleno, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah. But Montembeault locked in, man. He looked great. He got the Monty chance. The glove save he made in the third period, where it just seemed like he snatched a laser out of the air. Like, that one play gave me confidence that this could be a turning point for him.
Yeah.
Which is really what matters, right? There's moments, right? The Monty chants were in the building, which was great to see and hear. But that glove save in the third period is the one that I look back on and I go, okay, if he can turn it around, that was the moment to me where I knew he could do it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, it took us a few games, like 3 games, I think, for us to say, like, Sam Montembeault's in trouble, right? It's going to take us just as many, if not more games for us to be confident that Sam Montembeault is back, right? So I think we got to be patient with it. Like, that first rebound was woof. I'm not going to say the first goal. I'm going to say the first rebound. That was woof, right? But at the same time, because we've seen him do better, right? Like, we've seen him be able to, like, really clear that puck out so that the defenseman can be effective, or your Joe Veleno or whoever's there can be effective, right? So with Sam Montembeault, like, to me, the late in the game, that was really encouraging to me. And I do wonder, I know the Canadiens played their best period in the third. I do wonder if that kind of helped them because they weren't playing defense as much as they were able to play offense.
Yeah, no, I agree. Officiating, can we talk about it just briefly?
Yeah, we have to. It wasn't good.
But I'm going to finger wag at one Montreal Canadien here, and that's Josh Anderson. On the Mammoth second goal, He gets interfered with. He gets Ian Cole steps in front of him, knocks him over. Anderson completely stops playing. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable, man. Like I understand you were interfered with and it should have been a penalty. Get up and keep playing. Because he stopped playing and Utah comes back in and scores on a 3-on-1. That I have no patience for, especially from a guy who's been in the league for a long time.
And who
Josh
knows
Anderson isn't new.
Yeah, and who knows, the officials aren't going to give him the benefit of the doubt. In fact, they look for every excuse to throw him in the box. So, like you gotta just expect that call's not coming.
Yeah. The great Canadian band Pup once sang, the best revenge is living well. Yeah. Get up and go play your game. Go put somebody into the boards. Like, I was so frustrated. Like, obviously it was a penalty. I'm not arguing that it wasn't. But what I am arguing is the game didn't stop because you thought you were interfered with. Get up, go. I don't have patience for it from a veteran of all people. Like, but what a bad influence to be sending out to the rest of the team. And then a young guy like Cole Caufield, the next shift comes in and scores. He said, ball don't lie. And he put the puck in the net. It was a real ball don't lie kind of game, if we can be honest. It was really terribly officiated. And the Canadiens just said, doesn't matter. We're winning this game.
And I think the Canadiens need to be conscious of the fact that this entire season, and potentially in the playoffs too, they're going to have to beat the other team and the refs, right? Like, whatever happened in that Chicago game, whatever was said after, whatever criticisms they leveled after that Edmonton game, like none of that is going to go lightly with the officials, and they're going to have a target on their back. So they have to be able to overcome that, just like the Josh Anderson moment that you mentioned, right? It sucks, but that's the reality they live in. The good news is the Canadiens are good, right? Yeah. They're able to overcome that. They don't need the help.
No. I really take issue with the whole, well, they said all that stuff after the Edmonton game. I didn't realize the Canadiens were the only team out of 32 this year who have said something about officiating after a hockey game. Did you know that, Laura? Of course not. If you believe that, I think you're stupid. Like, I don't have time for that sort of, well, the Canadiens said bad things, so the entire league is going to make a mockery of the officiating profession to defend Garrett Rank. I think they just suck at their jobs. Like, I don't think it's anything deeper than that. There's no conspiracy. There's no, we're out to get him. They're just not good at this.
Right.
Like, TJ Luxmore on the Caufield second goal in the third period, he's staring at it. He could see the puck cross the goal line. He goes, I don't know about it. Let's go to a video review. I'm not calling it a goal right away. And every Canadian on the ice was like, that was in the net. I bet if you asked the goalie, he would have gone, yeah, that puck was in the net. It was stupid. They're just bad. And Montreal's in a bad place with them right now for whatever reason. I think Anderson especially just doesn't have it with them. They don't really seem to care if he gets assaulted. But
I also think that like there's sometimes perceptions that like this team gets too many power play calls or this team gets too many penalties, right? And so like they see that and then they're like, okay, I need to like write this narrative, and instead of like officiating the game, they're rewriting a narrative.
Yeah, and that narrative is functionally not true. The Canadiens are bottom 10 in the league in time spent on the power play. Like and with that, they're one of the best teams in the league. Like, I think those things are related. I think if anything, the league doesn't want to give a good team power plays. Like, referees go, if I give this really hot power play a power play, like they look at every call like a trolley problem, where it's like, well, if I do this, I impact the game, but if I don't do this, I still impact the game. But they don't they see it one way.
Yeah. And that's fair. All right. Some other general notes, because in our next segment, we do want to give a lot of guys some props. But yes, some other general notes. Like, I think the biggest takeaway for me from this game is, like we talked about in the past, and they did this to a certain extent against New Jersey as well, is they played when they had the lead as if they didn't have one. They played with that kind of pressure and urgency. And that's what they're going to keep having to do. Like, that's what good teams do. It doesn't always work out, right? Like, no team is going to be full throttle for 60 minutes, like you always point out to us. Like, it really, like, there's going to be points in the game when whatever happens, like the other team gets some sustained offensive pressure, or you get tired, whatever happens, right? Sometimes the momentum is broken up by too many penalties or power plays or whatever it is, right? But at the end of the day, like, if you defend the lead the way you did in that third period against Utah, like, you're in a good spot. Yeah. And I know like 6-2 is a very lopsided score, and maybe Utah's a little bit closer to the Montreal Canadiens than that score showed. But I still think that that's you're not always going to win 6-2, but at the very least, you're not going to give up that 3-2 lead. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it was the first time since Game 3 against Chicago that the Canadiens didn't give up a third period goal. They've only had a clean slate in the third period 3 times this year. Scoring chances in the third at 5-on-5 were 12-9 for Montreal. High danger chances 6-4 for Montreal. Expected goals 66.3% to the Canadiens in the third. So you're right. They didn't try to rest on their laurels and sit back. They pushed. They kept their foot on the pedal, and they kept going. That's all we've wanted them to do, and they can do it, which is why the New Jersey loss was frustrating, because it seemed like they were doing those things, and then they just, Matheson's leg exploded, and he's miraculously fine.
Thankfully.
But yeah, I am seeing a positive regression in that sense, that they're getting back to being able to do that.
Yeah. Up next, we're going to give some guys some flowers. And, it's always a good week when we get to do this. We'll talk about who was really good in that game, and later on who was really good in the week overall. That's coming up in just one moment. This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You need to hire the right person yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot where you need to hire like yesterday. The pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback. And that's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Indeed, hiring. Indeed is all you need. I'm so excited about my new life-changing jeans from Doer. They're so great. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, but they feel stretchy without looking stretchy. They look so great. They're work appropriate. You can wear them to run errands, to go out. I've been wearing them to travel all around the world, and I love them so much. Doer combines classic jeanswear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear, and I can't live without it. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to as well. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift for someone you love. Go now to doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's DUER.ca/lockedoncanadians for 15% off. Doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. All right, there's lots of guys we get to praise today. I love when we get a week or a day or a game where we get to say nice things about lots of people. So let's get Arber Xhekaj out of the way first.
Yeah,
he was great in that match.
Our chopped analogy was a couple episodes ago, where we see Caden Gooley coming back, and these guys are jockeying for that last spot. Neither one of them wants to get chopped from the starting lineup. And it looked like Jaden Struble was taking some steps in that direction, and then he took 2 third-period penalties against New Jersey, and I texted Laura's entry into this analogy, which is that Jaden Struble went to the ice cream machine. But Arber Xhekaj had a phenomenal night against the Utah Mammoth. At 5-on-5, no one had a higher expected goals for percentage than Arber Xhekaj, 80.7%. Conversely, you have Jaden Struble at the bottom of the list at 24.15. Which is tough.
I know.
He didn't have a bad night, at least through the eye test. But for Xhekaj, every time Xhekaj was on the ice and touching the puck, he was doing the right thing. He also was laying guys out for the first time in a long time, and he didn't have to fight because of it. He popped Jack McBain coming across center. I believe he hit Simashev into the boards right before Bulldog took a stupid interference penalty. I think that this was one of Arber's best games of the year.
I want to see Arber play like that every time.
Yeah, especially against a team like Utah that they match up pretty closely with, right? Like, these are 2 teams in similar points in their rebuilds.
Yes.
So for Xhekaj to take this on himself on a Saturday night in Montreal, game where you come into this losing 2 in a row, yes, in overtime, but losing 2 in a row, and you find a way to do stuff like that. Like, I thought he was phenomenal against Utah.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, I do want to talk. We talked a little bit about Montembeault, so we can leave that in the first period. We talked about how it looks like he's back. I want to mention really quickly that something that I noticed about the top line is that, they're always expected to deliver, and they always do. But something that I think, I don't know if it comes with like the skill level they have, the like hockey sense that they have, or just the fact that they've been playing together for a very long time. But it seems like, other than in the shootout, they're hard to defend against because they're able to be dynamic in a way that keeps the opponent guessing, right? They're able to find a way. And that's something where I think is going to be really important going forward because, like, this is probably, on this team, let's be honest, this is probably the most heavily scouted trio by opponents. It's the most heavily hard matched, the most heavily coached against. And the fact that they're able to, particularly in this game against Utah, I know they had a little bit of trouble against New Jersey. New Jersey's a better team. They're further along in their journey than Utah is. But the fact that they were able to kind of just find new ways to find each other on the ice and create scoring chances and goals sometimes, like, I just really I love this game. I love this line so much. I love this team. But like, like when I see Marty beaming with pride, like, I always feel the same way about these guys because something about it is just clicking and working. It's amazing.
Yeah, every top line in the league gets hard matched against the other team's shutdown line whenever they can. On home ice, that's really hard to do. Like, as an away team coming in, if Nick Suzuki's line is on home ice, it's hard to line match them. In New Jersey, they got hard matched against the Nico Hischier line. He's an incredible shutdown player. Like, that was a great bit of coaching from Sheldon Keefe. Also kind of an easy choice. Like, we're at home, you're glued to Nick Suzuki. He gets nothing, and he didn't get anything. But also that line has proven that some shutdown lines have no effect on them. Last year, the Barkov line played against that top line for Montreal almost all season, and they ate them alive. Like, I'm really curious to see how that line matches up against other teams' shutdown lines. Like, look back to the Washington series. The Montreal's top line was the only line they really had in that series, and they took their lunch money. It wasn't close when they were on the ice. Also important to mention, Caufield scores twice. He had the individual lead in goals, and then the Edmonton Oilers allowed the Colorado Avalanche to score 9 times, and some guy named Nathan McKinnon is now tied with Cole Caufield for the league leading goals. So
what a bum.
It goes. What a bum. But another guy has been scoring a bunch, and that's Kirby Dach.
Yes.
What's gotten into him?
I think he's confident. I think he stopped being scared of his own body. I think that's really important.
Now, on that breakaway goal that he scored,
yes,
and he goes into the post.
Yes,
did you also have heart palpitations and almost throw up like I did? Because I was very upset. And thankfully, he got up. Everything was fine. But like, I still think he's kind of tempting fate with a play like that. I mean, it's a sick goal. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad he did it. And then they go to the bench, and him and Marty are like watching the replay and laughing about it because he's like, "Man, what are you doing? That was nuts." I agree. I tend to think that he's playing with a lot of confidence. He had 4 goals this week, which is just kind of astounding to think about. That what is effectively your, at best, third line center is scoring 4 goals in a given week. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, incredible. Who else did we want to, obviously Alex Newhook scored that game-winning goal, so he was the GOAT in the game against New Jersey, and he was a different type of GOAT in the game against Utah.
The highs and lows of Alex Newhook.
Yes.
It's thankfully this year has been way more highs than lows with him.
Yes.
Like, I want to temper all of that with the fact that, like, I wasn't a big fan of the trade that brought him here, but this year I have loved Alex Newhook.
Yeah.
He joked after the game that he's sort of like a young dad playing with Oliver Kapanen and Ivan Demidov. Oliver Kapanen, man.
Yes. I almost forgot about him.
I love this guy so much. I think he scores goals in 2 ways. He's on the rush and he shoots off the rush, or he just goes to the net and the puck finds him. Like the goal that he scored against New Jersey, right? He knows Newhook is going to shoot that puck, so he finds a soft spot in coverage so he can get to the rebound and bang it in, right? Like, that's who he is. Oliver Kapanen does not play a very difficult game. He plays a very simple game, but he plays it so well that it makes it seem like he is, miles ahead of where his development ought to be, which is good because he's still doing all of the stuff that you'd expect a guy to be doing at this age. But also, like, he has the positive reinforcement of being able to score, playing with really high-end players. I think the world of this kid. I'm really excited to see how he continues to develop. He has the league leading goals for rookies. Arber Xhekaj.
Crazy. Yeah. Like one of our listeners, I think it was Jalen, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm so sorry if it wasn't Jalen, but talking about like can the three rookies be up for Calder? Can there be a three-way tie?
Yeah.
Because you've got your Jakub Dobes, you've got your Oliver Kapanen, and then you've got your most obvious choice, which is Ivan Demidov. So
Yeah. Also,
so
Kapanen. I kept saying Kapanen there.
I know.
Kapanen.
I
And
can't
you know
stop.
what? For those who keep saying it's not Kapanen, Michel Lacroix, after he announced that goal, he said Oliver Kapanen. So everyone chill out. The guy whose job it is to call the goals says Kapanen. So everybody shut up. It's Kapanen.
Yeah. We got to call the kid what he wants to be called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. One more like group of people that we need to give our flowers to is all of you guys for making us the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you, all of you, for listening. And we love you a lot. All right. Up next, we're going to do our weekly recap and we're going to decide who are the stars of the week. And that's coming up in just one moment. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, it is Monday, so it's time for our weekly recap. Although I do think next week, since there's a Monday game, we're not going to have, I don't know what we're going to do because we might have a crossover with our good friend Jay of Locked On Columbus Blue Jackets. So real quick, Ian, let's talk about the game. Earlier this week, or in the last week's weekly forecast, we said the Canadiens need to get 4 out of 6 points. And what did the Montreal Canadiens do?
In the most unorthodox way, got 4 out of 6 points.
Right. Is this how you were expecting it to go, though?
I was expecting 2 against Philly, potentially none against New Jersey, maybe an overtime point, and then hopefully you win against Utah or get an overtime point against Utah. I think that was the more conventional way of getting to 4 points. I want to say that I think 4 out of 6 is going to be a bit of a slogan for this team. As like a new metric, or not metric, but a new sort of framing for how we should see their success. Because most weeks in the NHL, you play 3 games. The Canadiens typically play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, right? If you're picking up 4 out of every 6 points every week, that's 109-point pace, right? Like that's a lot to strive for. But if you're constantly doing it, you're not going to do it every week. But if that's what you're kind of targeting, I know that they try to win every game, but if you're trying to target that, you're going to be in a really good place by the end. It also makes it so that you don't lose playoff series, right? 4 out of 6 means that you're at the end of a week, you're up 2-1 in a series. And then by the next week, you win it in 6 games. I think that's important to keep that constant framing. I know when Marty got to Montreal, he kind of looked at it that way. He wanted them to look at, each set of games as if it was a playoff series. So like, oh, we're up 3-1 in the series. We got to close it out in this next one. When Marty got here, they were never up 3-1 in anything.
Yep.
So I think it's just, we talk about the mix last year, the way we see how these guys play games and judge their own success is going to change. I think looking at a week and going, hey, we got 4 out of 6. That's what we should strive for every week.
Mm-hmm. If there's a most improved award, I would give it to Sam Montembeault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He every start, both starts, he was coming along, right? The starts are still rough. I want him to lock in a little bit quicker than he did in either of those games. But in a lot of senses in professional sports, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And he was phenomenal
Yeah.
in both of those games towards the end.
I do want to talk about Nick Suzuki, obviously. And it's kind of interesting because I know who our stars of the game are. Neither of us is going to pick Nick Suzuki or Cole Caufield, but those guys, man.
Yeah.
Nick Suzuki not having a point in a game is so strange to us. It feels alien to us at this point.
Yeah, they've played 15 of them, and he's only been held off the score sheet twice.
Yeah.
In game 1, and then the game against New Jersey, where he was hard matched by a really, really strong defensive center. I think, we talked about last year him being a point per game player, and we still kind of have that in our mind for him this year, but I think he's got bigger things in mind.
Yeah.
I think he's looking at a triple digit point total at the end. And I mean, Cole Caufield, we joked about his pace, right? His pace, when we checked in on it like a couple weeks ago, was like 68. He's at 66. Like, it's not like it fell off. He's on pace for a 66 goal season. Is he going to hit that? Most likely no. But it keeps him in line for 40 and potentially 50, right? Like, just keep putting away. And he keeps finding really fun ways to score. There's that sharp angle goal in the Utah game where he puts it off the post in between the goalie and the post. I feel like he knew that was there somehow. I don't know how. And then he's really been trying to go for this stuff move all of a sudden. I don't know when he started working on that, but that overtime winner against Seattle was one of those stuff moves. The one last night against Utah that ended up being, I think, the dagger, or, at least put them further ahead. That was one of those stuff moves coming around the post. Like, I don't know why he decided that was something he wanted to add to his bag, but it's awesome. It works pretty often. And if it doesn't, you've got Juraj Slafkovsky crashing the net on the other side. Something good is going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We do want to talk about Jakub Dobes real quick before we pick our stars. So obviously he was very emotional after that New Jersey game. We kind of touched on it after the game, but it became such a thing over the weekend, on Friday and over the weekend. I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. There were a couple things, a couple people that were very unsavory about this, calling him a crybaby, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that, that's so harmful because you need to be able to, this is his job, right? And he feels that he didn't do his job well. Don't you want him to care this much? Right?
Yeah. God forbid a man shows emotions,
Right?
Like, I think that's also an aspect of this that has been especially unsavory to me. I greatly dislike that. What I did find heartwarming about it was the team picked him up, right? Marty said, we're going to give him a hug. We're going to pick him up. The Canadiens, his teammates were kind of like, at practice, I think they were like handing him towels to pretend to wipe his teeth, which is that could go one or two ways. That could be felt really like, hey, you're making fun of me and I don't like that. Or we're picking you up. We're gonna rib on you because that's what dudes do. But we're doing it out of love. And I feel like that's such a fine line to strike. And this Canadiens locker room is such a positive, healthy environment that they can do that. And you can see Dobes laughing about it in practice. And, I think he realizes that it might have been a little silly for him to react that way.
Yeah.
That's what you have a team for, to tell you that, hey, man, you every game you've played in, we've picked up points in the standings, valuable points in the standings. We're good. You're one of the best goalies in the league this year. We're not worried about you at all.
I think too that he felt responsible for it, even though it was someone else's mistake.
I don't know why he felt responsible for it.
Yeah.
That really hurt to hear.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope Alex Newhook was like, nah, man, that was on me. I shouldn't have made that pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Or I hope someone else, told him you can't win every game, right? As much as it feels like it sometimes, you can't.
Especially with him in the way he starts seasons. He just doesn't lose for a while.
So I think, I think it was just, really, really good that they, his teammates also talked about it later. They said, we teased him a little bit, but we also gave him love, right? And I think he deserves that love. And I think that anybody who's talking about weakness or crybaby, you go stand in front of 40 shots.
Yeah.
By from opposing players such as, I don't even know who's there's no Shea Weber's, but you know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean, right?
They're all shooting 100 now because the sticks are just
insane,
slingshots.
Yeah. But you go do that 25 to 40 times a game and then come back and tell me that's weakness. Honestly, really. Anyways, it's time to pick our stars. I'm very excited because we have two different ones. So do you want to go with yours first?
Yeah, I'll give it to Kirby Dach. 4 goals in 3 games this week. Kirby Dach, the jerk, was back.
Yeah.
I think, which is really, I feel like it's a telling sign of where he's going to end up in a certain game is if he's like shoving people and being really annoying. I think that's where he's at his best.
Yeah.
I really hope that this week is a springboard for him into being fully 100% back. Like this is the Kirby Dach we saw pre the last 2 injuries.
Yes.
I think that would be a really nice development for not only him but for the team. Like I think the team kind of wants him to develop into that, but they certainly didn't bank on it this year. I think him turning into that would make this team a legitimate playoff contender this year.
Yes, absolutely. And mine is Noah Dobson. What an incredible week by Noah Dobson. Also, like I think we were apprehensive. Like we were excited when the Canadiens got him. We were maybe a little bit apprehensive because of all the stuff that we've been hearing. But he is so much better than even I anticipated, right? So much better than advertised. And I wonder too, like sometimes where when you're a fan of a bad team or a team that's really not doing well, like sometimes there's things that stick out. I think about when the Montreal Canadiens fans were really hard on Jeff Petrie, for example.
Yeah, or when the Edmonton Oilers were really hard on Jeff Petrie and sunk his value, and then he got traded to Montreal and he was a stud.
Yeah.
Like, I think Islanders fans, I'm glad the Islanders have Emil Heineman because we really loved Heineman and he's been great in New York and I'm really happy for them. I also think they were just really mad at how bad they were last year and they took it out on Noah Dobson because he's been phenomenal on a good team. Yeah. Like, I think that's an important aspect. And he's kind of on pace for, the type of the 70-ish point season, and he doesn't have power play one time.
Yeah.
Like he's finding other ways to contribute offensively without power. Like the dude rules. It was such a big price to pay for that player. The cap hit's going to be beautiful as the cap goes up. I love Noah Dobson so much. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm very excited about him in Montreal. I really am. And I hope it continues on this trajectory or even close to it, right? As long as he's trying, sometimes he's not going to be banking points. But I really love the side that he's brought out in Mike Matheson as well. I really love that the defense is a lot more balanced now, especially with Caden Gooley returning. It's going to be so well balanced that like it's not everyone leaning on one guy. It's not everyone leaning on Lane Hutson for offense and Mike Matheson for defense. Or like, before Lane Hutson got here, it's not the entire team leaning on Mike Matheson for everything. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I really love what he brings. So those are our stars of the week. There wasn't really anyone I was truly disappointed in. We talked about a couple of the mistakes Jaden Struble and Alex Newhook made. Alex Newhook more than made up for it. Jaden Struble just needs to, played a little earlier.
Yeah, he's only got a couple more games to figure this out before we start to see Gooley back at regular practice with a regular jersey on, and then it's we see Struble is not practicing with a pair.
Yeah.
So it's challenging.
We gotta be careful. But if Arber Xhekaj can play every game like he played against Utah, we're in a good spot with him. So
yeah.
Sure. All right. So as you know, we're here every day. Tomorrow we will have our weekly forecast, and we have some mailbag questions from last week that we didn't get to. But before we let you all go, we have our daily trivia.
Yes. Last week's question was: the Utah Mammoth have one former Hab, Mikhail Sergachev. What number did he wear in his 4 games with the Montreal Canadiens? Laura, what's the answer to this one?
22.
It was 22. It's a weird number for a defenseman. I still think it's weird Gooley wears 21, but that's a different story entirely. Correct answer was given to us by Tony Legere, Super Rain, Joe Segredo, Garrett S, J, and Jason L. So thank you all for playing. Today's question actually comes to us from Jason L as well. This longtime New York Islanders enforcer played his final NHL games as a Montreal Canadien before winding his pro career down with the Utah Grizzlies of the now defunct International Hockey League. Who is this player? So longtime New York Islanders enforcer played his final NHL games as a Montreal Canadien before winding down his pro career with the Utah Grizzlies of the now defunct International Hockey League. If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video. Let us know the answer any way you know how. We'll tell everybody how smart you are on the next episode of the show.
Yeah, because honestly, I didn't even know Utah Grizzlies was a thing, and I would have absolutely guessed it was basketball if you could ask me. All right, you heard the man. You can send us your guesses, but also send us mailbag questions, any thoughts, observations, feelings you have. You can send them to us at lockedoncanadians@gmail.com. That is the best way to get in touch with us. You can also leave them in the YouTube comments. You can also find us all over social media. We're on TikTok at Locked On Canadians. We're on Blue Sky at Locked On Canadians, and we're on Instagram at Locked On Canadians. We post, all kinds of stuff up there. We try to interact with you guys on there as well. So please, please, please hit us up. At the same time, also make sure you're subscribed to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are now the #1 sports podcast network. So please keep that going. We're really grateful to all of you. You'll find me on social media at The Active Stick. You'll find my co-host at Maybe It's Ian. We will be back tomorrow with our weekly forecast and lots of other fun stuff. I'm going to thank you all for listening, and we will see you tomorrow.